As always with this series, do please let us know in the comments what games you've been playing. It can be absolutely anything on Switch. We like to try and give at least one of these away. Hi everyone, and welcome back to SwitchUp, and to the series where we look at some interesting games. What makes them interesting? We thought they were interesting, so there you go. Alright, what are the interesting games we've been playing this month then? Well, let's find out. Alright, the first one that I want to talk about then, Glenn, is one that we've both played. It's the Lara Croft collection that's just come out on the Switch.
Yes, I played one of these back in the day. The first of these, I believe, yeah.
Now, I've been playing through them. I'm reasonably impressed with the way they've translated over to the Switch.
Yeah.
But they're like 2010, 2014 games.
Yeah, it must have been around that time. Yeah, it's quite interesting because I never really got into Tomb Raider because I didn't have a PlayStation, you know, so I played them years later, I think probably on like the Wii or something, you know, when they started to re-release them elsewhere, and played the original version, like the Anniversary Collection, whatever it was called, I don't know. And then played these ones quite soon after, so I didn't have a huge amount of old school Lara to compare to this new version, you know, but I did quite enjoy them for what they were.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think it's for what they are.
Yeah,
like, you know, you're not getting classic Tomb Raider at all, are you?
You're not. No, they're basically like isometric top-down games, aren't they, with some twin-stick shooting elements and, yeah, a fair bit of puzzle solving, albeit relatively basic.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of nice mechanics in it, you know. You've got different weapons, you've got relics that you can equip to improve your statistics, and there are these tombs that you have to go into to solve small puzzles, you know. It's like this game's version of shrines, and they're dotted all over the place. The problem I have is the repetition.
Yes.
You know? So, like, it's great. It's twin-stick shooting, shrine, twin-stick shooting, shrine, and sometimes those shrines will actually have the exact same solution.
Yeah, it's funny with twin-stick shooters. I mean, I might be in the minority here, but when I play one, for me, I like the kind of wave-based ones. You know, as repetitive as they are, more so, to be honest, I just prefer that mechanic when it comes to twin-stick games. So this one with that puzzle-solving aspect to it, whilst it enhances it as a game, it just didn't keep my interest as much.
Exactly right. Now, I played through with my daughter on this one, and she was really, really enjoying it.
Yeah.
So it might be because I'm an old fart, and you know, we're used to reviewing games and seeing flaws. And if you're just after a co-op game, it was perfect for that.
Yeah,
like
nice.
it was really nice and smooth, drop in, drop out. And you don't really have to think too much.
Yeah. I mean, I think I might be wrong, but I think back in the day, because I played them on Xbox Live on the 360, and I think they were those. You know, you used to get the games that had like 200 points, whatever. I can't remember what metric they use now, rather than 1,000. So you kind of, as soon as you bought it, you knew what you were getting, and you almost changed your expectations to suit, you know? So I knew I was getting a smaller game, and that's exactly what I got, and it was absolutely fine. So I suppose it's your mindset, isn't it, when you buy it, really?
Absolutely, yeah. So, but do check out our full review of this one if you want to know a little bit more. They're good games. They're just good games.
Yeah, I think it costs about £20.
Yeah,
for the two. I mean, that's not bad value, to be fair. And as you say, yeah, perfectly serviceable, decent games. Right, the first one I want to talk about then is one that I've been meaning to play for a long time now, actually, and finally got around to trying. It's Danganronpa. I think the full name is Trigger Happy Havoc.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it's called. So the Danganronpa series, as I just said, it's one that I've wanted to play for a long time, but I didn't really know what it was. I'd just seen snippets, and it was enough to intrigue me, you know. And having now played a decent chunk of this first game, it's a visual novel with a really quite interesting story. Actually, the story I'm loving so far.
Okay.
So I bought it via the Danganronpa Decadence pack that you can get on the Switch, which is 4 games.
Nice.
So it's Danganronpa 1, 2, 3, and then it's got another game that's called like Summer something, Danganronpa S Summer something.
Physically?
This is a physical release I'm talking about, yeah. So I'm only playing the first one so far. But the story revolves around this young man, I think his name's Makoto, who gets invited to this like elite school. You know, it's the school for the creme de la creme, you know. And he's not quite sure why he's been invited. He doesn't excel at anything, you know. But then he finds out it's because he won a competition. So you've got all the big shots in their respective fields. You've got like the best sportsman, the best writer, the best this, the best that, and then he goes along as this like competition winner. Anyway, he gets to the school, and within like minutes of getting there, gets basically like drugged. Wakes up a few hours later with the rest of them to find it's like a ruse, and they've been locked in this school. And I think there's 15 of them, and the only way they can ever get out, they're there forever basically, is if they murder one of their classmates and then get away with it. So it sets up this really tense story of everyone, you know, initially wanting to work together. You know, we can find a way out. We can beat this maniac. But then starting to think, actually, I'm stuck here now. Like, and then they try and they start picking each other off. It's just great. It's such a good story, such a great premise.
We're recording this in a very small cupboard, and Glen is inching towards the axe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the only way I can get out of it. It's very hot, but I'm loving it. Like really enjoying
cool.
it. And there's a bit. I think I'm back end of chapter 2, so they're just about to solve the second murder, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But there's this character who's like I say, to start with, everyone's like, we can do this, we can work together. And basically, this fella just says at one point, he just says that we're not friends. Let's stop mucking about. We're enemies. This is a competition. I want to live. I'm going to do what I've got to do.
Wow.
And it's, like you think, what an arsehole. But then you think, but people would do that. Like...
They turn into animals, right?
Yeah, like Battle Royale and Lord of the Flies,
Most people don't know what they would do in that situation.
Yeah, and I just loved that twist of him. He was so calm and collected about it.
Yeah.
He didn't become like a maniacal, moustache-twirling villain. He just said, look, you want to muck about pretending you're friends? Crack on. I know where we are, I know what we're doing.
Put the axe down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm talking like he's my hero or something. But in terms of the gameplay, so obviously it's a visual novel, so there's not masses of gameplay. You do walk around the school in like a first-person view.
Right.
There are times you have like free time and you can go talk to the other characters, build relationships and stuff. But then when a murder does happen, you need to investigate the scene, gather your evidence, and then there's a court, and you need to try and decide who the killer was.
Right.
And the rules of this game are that if you get it right and that person is caught, they are executed. If you get it wrong, they're allowed out, they escape, and everyone else is executed. So you go through this court system, and it reminds me a bit of something like Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright, that sort of thing.
They don't kill them all at the end of that, do they?
Well, if you get it wrong, it's basically you just retry.
Right.
So you never have the situation where everyone dies.
Murder.
But that's the that's the threat to them. I don't know. Obviously, there's 2 more games yet. Plus this other one. I think the 4th one is more like a spin-off. But I'm very intrigued to see where it goes.
Yeah. Now I'm more intrigued as well about that Ghost Trick game and how that relates. Wasn't that?
No, Raincode.
Raincode.
Yeah, it's from the same team, isn't it? Or some of the same team. Which is actually why I started playing it.
Oh.
Because I've had it in my backlog for ages. Saw that, from the team. I thought, right, I'm going to play that game now. I'm finally going to get around to playing it. It is very over the top. It does have that quite traditional Japanese storytelling of, the huge wide eyes and the and, it is a bit crazy at times. If they'd have toned that down, this would have been, like, in terms of storytelling, nigh on flawless.
Oh,
just for my personal taste, I'm not quite into that kind of over-the-top nature that it sometimes slips into. I like my tone to stay a bit more consistent in stories, but I'm still really enjoying it.
Next up then, we have a game that I never thought I'd see Glen play, and it's AEW Wrestling.
Oh yeah, God,
do you remember playing that last week?
I do, yeah.
So this is so much like the old SmackDown games. Now, I used to love those on PlayStation. Like, they're absolutely ridiculous. But if you want a wrestling game, this essentially offers everything that you used to get in that. So you could design your own character, as you saw. We created Glen the Hotspur. We did. Can I just quickly just interject and just say that when you create your own character in this game, if you choose to have body hair, you can't just have chest hair, you have to have back hair as well. So if you've seen Mark's review and I look a bit hairy on the back, that's not accurate to real life. I wouldn't know.
But chest hair is absolutely fine. Back hair, no, that's not right.
Yeah, and those legs, those chicken legs, are they accurate?
Yeah, they are sadly quite accurate, yeah.
You've lost me there. Brilliant. Yeah, so you design your own character, but you can also do things like arena design, you can do customizing your intro. And if you were anything like me and my brothers, Saturday mornings, your WWF, that's what I'm calling it. It's not the Worldwide, Wildlife Foundation.
Oh yeah, whatever it is, yeah.
I mean, I was happy for the animals. I was gutted for the WWF when that happened.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
It seemed quite unfair, didn't it?
It really did. It really did.
Because of that panda, they just whipped it away.
I eat pandas. I love a panda, to be fair.
I love a panda.
Wouldn't keep one as a pet.
No, it's not allowed. Hence the WWF.
But yeah, it has your usual combination of different events. There's, the over-the-top names. I think it's like the bloody spatula round and the spiked baton, the death chair.
The death match, death match. When no one is killed.
No, Glen was like, if it's called death match, then someone better die. I'm like, bro.
Well, first of all, I didn't say it in that voice. So tone that down for a start. And secondly, it's all about expectation, isn't it? If you go in, it's called death match. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Oh, no one dies. I just played Danganronpa. Like, I'm killing everyone.
And just to throw in there to Mr. Deathmatch, his weapon of choice was a slippery when wet sign. By plastic. Slippery when wet sign.
You don't mess with a man that's got a slippery when wet sign.
Oh, you'd be falling over.
Exactly right, yeah, to your doom.
So it's got loads of game modes, as we just said, creating your own character, a full career mode, online modes as well, which we couldn't try because it's pre-release. And if you're after a SmackDown-like experience on Switch that doesn't actually run like an absolute turd, then this might genuinely, I mean, you'll have to go check the review, get that plug in there, might genuinely be quite a nice option. Now, in terms of the combat, you've got to use your array of strikes. You can grapple as well and then do moves directionally, again, exactly like SmackDown. And then you have this special bar that's going down in the bottom that will allow you to do your finishing move. It works on a momentum-based system. It almost felt like I was playing an old Pro Evo. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
You kind of had that momentum system. And until you've got that down, you won't be able to essentially pin them. But you will have the old interfering and all that, won't you? We had to almost be calculated, didn't we?
Yeah. So, we did like a tag team match, didn't we? And if your partner is pinned or you've pinned their partner, then you're allowed into the ring to help. So we had to kind of set up a scenario where as soon as they ran in, we ran in to stop their partner from interfering, which was quite fun actually. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that part of it, that little bit of strategy in there. I mean, I've never played a 3D wrestling game. I'd never played one. I played the old 2D pixel based, there was one at the arcades, I can't remember what it was called now. It was a WWF game, very blue, like the ring was very blue, very light blue. Someone please let me know what it was called. But I used to like those as much as I didn't like wrestling. But this was a very new experience for me, actually.
I just had this really weird thing happened in my head, right? In my head, Hulk Hogan, right, with his walking stick, was walking past the door. Yeah. And he heard you, he was just coming up because he's hearing about wrestling. And he heard you say, I've never played it, and he just walked away, head down, dejected.
But then when he heard me say I played the old ones, of which he was in, he'd be like, no, come back, Hulk. Don't be sad. We're going to talk about you now, your era. And he'd be like, yeah.
Oh, so happy.
Brother, see? I know he said that.
Put the bandana down.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's that one. That's one I've been playing. What's your next one, Glenn?
My next one, very different, is called the Parasite Pack. And this is, don't laugh, it's not funny. It's a good game. It's a collection of two games, one of which is called Flea, which is the one I've played the most of. And the other one is called, I'm struggling with names today, it was called Tapeworm.
Oh, for flip's sake.
Puzzle Party?
Why would you buy a game?
No, don't do that. Don't be,
Tapeworms are so rank.
Oh, I know what they do.
So flat and like, I just did an impression of a tapeworm. You did. My life is complete.
Yeah, now you've achieved it. You've reached maximum velocity.
Hulk, come back.
What am I talking about? Oh yeah, so it's got two games on it, right? Yeah. The first is Flea. Now this is a really good game. I'd played this before on the Evercade. Yeah. It was on one of their indie packs. And it's basically a game where you have to get from the exit to the entrance, or the entrance to the exit, of each screen. And you collect like vials of blood as you go along, and you can then trade those in for lives. Okay. And you just have to get across the obstacles, you bounce the whole time, you just keep bouncing, you've got constant momentum. But you can bounce to a lower degree. You can do like little bounces by tapping the button, like mashing the button.
That's weird.
And you'll need to do that at times because there are spikes and things, and you need to get through the spikes, get below the spikes, and then you can learn the ability to swim. And there are boss fights, which are like auto runner stages where you have to escape. Right. And it reminds me of a game, something like Manic Miner.
I never played that one.
I used to love that on the Commodore 64, and it just gives me that sort of vibe, something like that.
Is this set inside the human body? There's a tapeworm. I'm thinking, is this like inner space action?
There is a lot of red going on.
Yeah, it's in the body, isn't it?
You're probably inside someone,
Jumping over spikes.
Yeah.
Avoiding, collecting blood.
Yeah, you probably. And then other times, you're outside, so maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you've exited and then gone back in.
How?
Yeah.
Have you exited?
I don't know. I don't know what fleas do. I don't really study them.
Well, they'd be on the head, wouldn't they? That's probably the spikes, the hair. Whereas the tapeworm, he's going right through. And I know how he's exiting. Same way he got in.
I don't think he does exit in the game, which is probably a good thing. But the tapeworm game is different, and it's a fun game. I like the other one more, but it's like set on a grid, and you have to poke your little tapeworm head up.
The action he's doing with his finger.
And you've got like a finite amount of moves to move along the grid, and you have to collect the collectibles in that number of moves, but you can go backwards. He's not listening to me, he's just laughing.
No, I really am listening. I'm just trying not to die.
You go backwards and regain your moves, and you can collect, you know, a new amount of moves as you go along. They're just fun games. They're little puzzle games. I mean, the game Flea sold it for me because it did remind me of those old school, you know, home computer games that you used to play, and I love all that. I do. That's for me. That's what gaming's all about. You know, I do like modern gaming. I do like what gaming has become, but I love it when a game comes back and reminds you of one of those sort of games, even if you do play as a Flea or a bloody tapeworm.
I look forward to seeing what this looks like, to be honest.
Yeah, they're decent games, and as far as I can remember, the bundle was pretty cheap. If I'm wrong, there, apologies, but I'm pretty sure it was about £4 or £5. You know, for a couple of time-killer games, you can't really go wrong.
All right, my last one then is the roguelite deck builder Wildfrost. There seemed to be a period, a bit like now in farming games, where we had a ton of these kind of card-based deck building roguelites.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, this is a brilliant game. It's really very good, and it's not down to visuals or anything like that. It's just it has such a unique take on those mechanics. So you have your little base area. You get to choose a random leader card, and if your leader card dies at any point, it's game over.
Right. Okay.
So it feels like an RPG in that sense, and you get lots of buffs as you go through, and you're trying to think like, do I use it on the leader card or do I use it on the other ones to try and keep him alive?
Yeah.
Now, as you progress, as I say, there's different bits of treasure that you can pick up. There are other cards. There's like almost like what's it called? Like, do you remember the old gumball machine?
Yeah.
You put a coin in, twist it, and a gumball comes out. They've basically got that for your they're called charms. You've charmed me, and you can add those charms whenever you want. So you can kind of store them up.
Well, they're random, I take it.
They're completely random,
yeah.
And again, as you progress over the whole game, you'll get more charms. You know, you'll unlock new ones, and gradually move towards the end. Now, at the end of the game, you're fighting like an elite group, right? So the super army soldiers, you might say. You're trying to defeat them, but if you kill them, they then become the people you had become the boss.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? So say I've got my little posse, and you're the boss.
Yeah.
Once I've defeated you, I become the boss, and then my next run, I'll have to defeat those cards.
Oh, I'm with you. Okay, so the stronger you make yourself, the harder it will be.
Exactly.
Later down the line.
Which is a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
Now the problem with it was it had some really bad balancing.
Right.
There's nothing I hate more than feeling like I can't win.
Yeah.
And it had that a lot.
Right.
Like I'm pretty sure I reviewed this, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
And I was playing it. I'd say probably for my first 35 runs, I couldn't win.
Right.
Until I'd unlocked enough stuff, and I just had the RNG, the random number generator luck, to get a really good start card, and then a really good sidekick card and stuff like that. Now, what they've done is they've spent a lot of time improving it and tweaking it, not just through tutorials and stuff like that, but there's a lot of mechanics that aren't ever explained, that they now really do let you know about, you know, so that because there were a few ways you could win, but you just didn't know. You didn't have a clue, you know. Right.
So when you said obviously the balancing has been improved, is that a lot down to the fact they explain things better, or is it purely that they have rejigged?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, was it just a case that you could have won but you didn't know enough to know you could have won, or have they actually rejigged the balancing completely?
50-50.
Or a bit of both, yeah.
Yeah, 50-50. So they've changed a lot of the stats on the cards, they've changed the abilities, they've changed. It's interesting because each round, it's difficult to explain it, but you'll see it on screen. You don't get to do your turn until this little number on the corner of each card has reached 0.
Okay.
And there are certain mechanics that you can do where actually taking damage is good because it will improve your overall attack and things like that.
Right.
It wasn't explained very well. You could gradually pick it up after like 50 hours, after a long time.
Yeah.
So they've done a lot more to explain those types of mechanics. There's way more than that. It's way deeper than that.
Yeah.
That's just a
Example,
little example.
Yeah.
And they do obviously have the improvements to the base stats of the cards. I recommended it at the start. I would now say if you're a deck building fan, like this is an essential. Like if you like things like Slay the Spire, it's such a fun game to play. If they could do a physical with this, you need to pick it up because it's really pick up and playable.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. We've spoken about this before, haven't we? Patches to games, but this is a time where it's, you know, sometimes I suppose they just won't know what they need to do to improve their game until other people have played it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have lots of testers, but they're all in-house, I guess, and you know the rules in your head as much as you might try and play like someone that's never played it before.
Exactly.
When you've had it out for a while and you go back and make those improvements as a free update, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it?
This is
it's nice
the way.
to see that. Yeah, exactly right. Good stuff. Right, my last one then, is a game called Horgihugh and Friends.
You really do pick them.
This is a shoot 'em up, horizontal shoot 'em up with like a very cartoony art style. When I first saw it, I assumed it was based on a show, like a kids show or something. As far as I can see, it isn't, And it just tells this wacky story of so basically all of the lands went to war at some point, and there was almost like complete and utter, doomsday. And at the last minute, there were treaties signed, and people decided to stop, and they destroyed their weapons as a show of good faith. And then aliens attacked the Earth.
Oh,
so there are no weapons to fight these aliens. So basically, in the midst of all this, two characters, this cat and a dog, flew off to a remote island. They were fed up with the world in their little archaic biplane.
Oh, nice.
And now they're literally the only weapons left in the whole world. So you have to play as them to try and defeat the aliens.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely inconsequential, but it's quite fun. But in terms of the game, it's a fairly standard horizontal shooter. It's a lot harder than you'd give it credit for. Obviously, you see the cutesy visuals, and you'd expect it to be a bit easier. It's not. It's pretty tough.
Right.
You can only play as there are two characters. You'd assume you have some co-op in there, but as far as I can see, it's not. It's only single player.
It's weird.
And sometimes the other character will come in to help you if you get certain power-ups.
Right.
If I'm wrong about that, I apologise, but honestly, having played it for a good few hours, I've seen no way of getting co-op. So hopefully it is in there, and I'm just an idiot. But if not, that's a bit of a misstep, isn't it?
Yeah. So how's the layout? Is it just linear stages? World 1-1, work your way through.
Yeah. So there's a number of levels, all different themes. The backgrounds change and whatnot. You move along. The screen scrolls with you. It does have a couple of interesting mechanics to it. You have two bars. One is a blue bar and a yellow bar. The blue bar allows you, when it's full, allows you to do like a loop-the-loop.
Okay.
And when you do that, you're invincible. So obviously, it's your get out of jail card, and it does fill up relatively quickly, so you can use that. The yellow bar allows you, and I didn't realise this until a while in actually. But if you get hit, one hit kill. If you get hit and you fall to the bottom of the screen, if you waggle the stick and whatnot whilst you're falling, you can revive yourself before you die and not lose the life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's quite interesting. Sometimes obviously you would be so close to the bottom that you've got no chance of doing it, but it's nice to have that in there. And again, that refills over time. Yeah. So they're just little things that give you a helping hand. There's like an airship that pulls up that you can enter like a shop, and you can spend your crystals that you've accumulated on upgrades. Yeah. And also it has quite an interesting part where you almost start to rebuild the world.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's like a town, and at the start it's just it's bare, and through these crystals that you collect every time you get a level complete, it saves how many you've got. You can then buy shops and whatnot, and people will come and populate the town. And at first I was like, well, that's nice, but what's the point?
Yeah, I was going to say.
But the shops actually sell you things that you can then use in the levels.
Well, that's cool.
So that it's or there's like one of the shops is like you can access the music.
Right.
So you can play through the music outside of the game, just little things like that. It's nice, it's in there,
Yeah, it is, because that can get quite repetitive, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't got any incentives,
exactly,
you can get a bit samey.
It's not the best shooter I've played. I don't think it ever proclaims to be fair, and it is quite expensive, and those two don't go hand in hand. There are a lot of random, things will fly from the back of the screen and hit you before you've even had a chance to move. Now, I've played some hard shooters. I'm not an expert in the field by any stretch, but I've played some tough ones, but that just felt a bit unfair. Yeah. That you literally couldn't respond in time, and it's hit you. And sometimes the loop, I felt like it wasn't responsive enough in terms of pressing the button to it happening, which may well have saved you from the aforementioned things in, shooting at you from all angles. But on the whole, I'd say it's a decent game. I'm enjoying it enough. I bought it physically. I'm always a bit more lenient with games I buy physically, just because I'm happy to have a collection. So if I've spent a bit more, I don't feel as ripped off if I don't enjoy it as much. If I bought it digitally, I would feel that pinch, so that's just me. But I don't think it's worth the asking price, but it might just be one to keep half an eye on for a sale,
Yeah, looks good.
So there we have it. That's a load of interesting games. Hopefully you enjoyed that episode. I know we always enjoy making these. And as always, just a big thanks to all of you that enjoy the content. We're really pleased to be able to offer you the discount on your eShop credit again like we did before. Just head to switchup.gg. You'll get 5% off in cashback, and it supports the channel a little bit. Thanks to our Patreons and members. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep your Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!